in the shadowed underbelly of Paris, where the Seine's murky waters whispered ancient curses against the cathedral's foundations, Bishop Maurice de Sully stood in the flickering torchlight of a hidden excavation. Around him, men labored, not in the service of God, but of Maurice's dark desires. Their task, to carve a labyrinth of stone in the very bedrock of the city, a sepulchre to house forbidden relics that could shake the foundations of the church. The year was 1163, and Notre Dame's construction had begun as a monument to divine glory, its spires destined to pierce the heavens. But beneath that rising stone Maurice had ordered a secret chamber carved into the earth, a vault for pagan idols unearthed from Roman ruins, heretical scrolls that challenged the Church's dogma, and treasures he believed held the key to true enlightenment, but risked eternal damnation. Maurice's soul was a tempest of faith and curiosity. A devout servant of God, he had risen through the clerical ranks on piety alone. But his nights were haunted by doubts, by visions of a world where knowledge eclipsed blind devotion. Now, in this tomb beneath the future house of God, he sought to reconcile that duality, to unearth the wisdom of the past and temper it with his Christian faith. His hands, stained with the soil of secrets, trembled as he placed a golden chalice said to hold Christ's blood, mixed with druidic herbs. The Mauri's bane, an artifact from the furthest reaches of his Breton homeland. It was a constant struggle for him, this war within, this blaze that threatened to consume him. Preserve these artifacts for posterity, or destroy them to safeguard his own soul. The chamber's architect, the stonemason Etienne, a burly man with eyes as deep and fathomless as the catacombs themselves, hefted a block of limestone, his brow furrowed with grim determination. He, too, grappled with a different kind of turmoil. For Etienne, it was a question of loyalty versus a creeping dread that gnawed at his conscience. He owed his life to Maurice. When the bishop had saved his family from the plague, Etienne had vowed undying service. But now, as he chiseled away at the stone, shaping the very bedrock of Maurice's forbidden legacy, he felt the weight of blasphemy pressing down on him like a second skin. Each swing of his hammer echoed with accusations, not just against himself, but against the sanctity of the rising cathedral. Overseeing it all was Father Remy, Maurice's confessor, a gaunt priest whose voice rasped like parchment. In the dry winter winds, he knew of the vault, the secret stain upon Maurice's soul, and with every passing day his own conscience became a thorn bush, scratching and bleeding, impossible to ignore. Remy's vows of obedience warred with the fear of hellfire. He had sworn to guard the bishop's soul, yet with each passing day he felt its damnation drawing near. Each confession was a new layer of torment, burying him deeper in the mire of sin until his whole life became a shadow play, a puppet show of hidden truths. As the days bled into weeks, the chamber neared completion. The air grew thick with the scent of incense and foreboding. The men toiled in silence, their only company the ghosts of their own guilt. One evening, as the last rays of sun bled through the cracks in the ceiling, casting elongated shadows that danced like demons on the walls, Maurice descended once more into the bowels of the earth. He carried with him the final relic, an ornately carved wooden box said to contain a crystal skull. They called it the Morrigan's Whisperer, rumored to have belonged to a Celtic queen who had bargained with the devil for power. According to legend, the skull could whisper prophecies, but at what cost? Maurice saw it as the last piece of the puzzle, the final key to understanding the arcane wisdom hidden beneath layers of myth and superstition. He placed the box upon a rough-hewn altar of limestone, completing the unholy trinity alongside the chalice and the pages from the Book of Shadows. Above him, Etienne carefully chiseled the final touches on the massive slab that would seal the vault forever. It was a daunting task, both physically and spiritually. The stone was cold and unforgiving, but he had no choice. To refuse would be to invite the wrath of Maurice, but to comply was to condemn himself. With trembling hands, he traced the lines of an ancient rune, a blend of Christian crosses and pagan symbols, weaving a tapestry of devotion and damnation. As he worked, beads of sweat mingled with tears on his forehead, trickling down his arms and disappearing into the folds of his tunic. When he finally stepped back, the seal was complete. The inscription glowed faintly in the torchlight, a macabre halo around the gaping maw of the tomb. With a final prayer, he hammered the first blow, sealing the tomb's entrance with a resounding clang that echoed like a death knell through the underground labyrinth. Remy watched from above, his face drawn and haggard, his eyes hollowed by sleepless nights and whispered prayers. The chamber was now a prison, holding not just relics, but a piece of Maurice's soul. He had failed his friend, failed in his duty as confessor, failed the sanctity of the church. He blessed the site with holy water that sizzled upon the stone, another futile attempt to stave off the encroaching darkness. The men filed out of the chamber, leaving Maurice alone in the growing darkness. He had done it, created a shrine to forgotten wisdom beneath the very foundation of a house of God. But as the torchlight flickered and died, leaving him in total blackness, he knew he had also sentenced himself to a lifetime of doubt. Now, the only sound was the drip, drip, drip of water, each drop echoing like a hammer blow against the stone. The silence was deafening, broken only by the beating of his own heart. Slowly, cautiously, he descended the ladder into the darkness, his robes clinging to him like a shroud. The air was stale and heavy, thick with the scent of dust and decay. As his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he saw them, the relics, bathed in the faint glow of the inscription, their presence both alluring and terrifying. The crystal skull gleamed like a malevolent eye, the chalice shimmered with a dark, otherworldly light, and the book of shadows lay open to a page filled with indecipherable script, whispering secrets from beyond the grave. With trembling hands, Maurice approached the altar. He reached out to touch the skull, to feel the chill of its ancient magic against his fingertips. As he did, a voice echoed through the chamber, raspy and ethereal, like the wind whistling through a graveyard. "Who disturbs my slumber?" it rasped. "Who seeks the wisdom of the Morrigan?" Startled, Maurice recoiled as if struck. The voice, it was real, emanating from the very depths of the skull itself. Terror, raw and primal, gripped him, freezing the blood in his veins. Was this the price of his folly? The wrath of the Morrigan herself unleashed upon him. The voice continued, its tone shifting, becoming softer, more seductive. "Do not fear, seeker of knowledge," it whispered, "for I am but a vessel of wisdom. Ask your questions, mortal, and I shall answer." Maurice hesitated, torn between his burgeoning fear and his insatiable curiosity. Could he resist the siren call of forbidden knowledge? In the flickering light of the single torch, the crystal skull seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, its empty sockets staring straight into his soul. The Book of Shadows beckoned with its leather cover, promising secrets that could shatter the foundations of his faith. But the chalice, the Moori's bane, it offered a different kind of allure, a blend of Christian relics and pagan artifacts. It was a tangible link to a world Maurice could barely comprehend. What would he find if he delved deeper into this abyss? Would he uncover the divine spark hidden within the relics, or would he be consumed by the darkness they concealed? As Maurice stood there wrestling with his demons, the chamber itself seemed to stir, the very stones groaning under the weight of their unholy burden. The flickering torch sputtered, casting grotesque shadows that writhed on the chamber walls like tormented souls. Was this the price of his sacrilege? Was the wrath of the relics awakening? Whatever he decided, his life would never be the same. The decision was his, and his alone. The fate of his soul, quite literally, hung in the balance. And so the story ends, leaving you with a question. What would you choose? Knowledge and damnation, or faith and peace? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to support us because we always appreciate when you do. Thank you again for watching, and see you in the next video. Centuries wove their tapestry over Notre Dame, its bells tolling like mournful hearts through plagues and revolutions, while the secret chamber slumbered beneath, its existence fading into whispers among masons, guilds, and clerical archives. Bishop Maurice, elevated to sainthood in folklore, yet tormented in life, succumbed to a fever that ravaged his body like divine retribution. On his deathbed, he confessed to a vault of unimaginable horrors, an abyss gazing at us from below. But Remy, his successor, dismissed these ravings as delirium, and so the secret slept, undisturbed for centuries. But Remy, haunted by nightmares of writhing shadows and beckoning whispers, penned coded letters, desperately trying to warn his successors of the evils stirring below the cathedral. Yet fear of excommunication for disturbing the supposed saint's final resting place kept his warnings silent. His tragic solitude, a prison of unspoken horrors. Remy died in obscurity, his body interred in the cathedral's crypt, his eyes forever staring upward, as if seeking the hidden vault above, a haunting gaze frozen in eternal regret. The chamber's curse clung to him still, even in death, reaching out like ivy to claim new victims. Etienne, the stonemason, had returned to his family, yet the chamber's grip tightened around him. His son grew up hearing strange whispers in the night, babbling of crystal prophecies and endless abysses. Visions drove him mad, and on a storm-lashed night, his father confessed the terrible truth, the rain pounding the roof like accusatory fists. But dawn brought denial, the weight of the cathedral's legacy crushing the confession like a stone. Soon, though, the very stones turned against Etienne. During repairs, a section of the roof collapsed, crushing him beneath its weight, his last breath a gasp echoing the chamber's chilling seal. His widow, left young and penniless, raised their child alone, the boy's dreams plagued by visions that isolated him from the world. His tragic youth, a dark reflection of his father's sin. Yet the vault's legend persisted, kept alive by those who delved into the cathedral's lore. In 1789, Abbot Claude, a man of enlightenment and faith, found Maurice's letters amid the chaos of the Revolution, his soul torn between a progressive priesthood and an ancient horror. When mobs stormed Notre Dame, flames licking the spires like the tongues of demons, he descended to the undercroft, his lantern's feeble light casting grotesque shadows on the walls etched with long-forgotten runes. There, with trembling hands, he pried at the seal, his heart pounding in his chest like a drum. A whisper of wind escaped, sighing from the grave like a lament. His conflict reached its peak. Should he expose the chamber and risk heresy charges, or rebury the knowledge and damn himself? Revolutionaries burst in, their faces twisted with fanaticism. They accused him of hiding treasures, dragging him to the guillotine where his head fell amid cheers. His eyes, wide with unfulfilled revelation, stared in horror at the descending blade, a haunting silhouette against the sunlit square. The vault remained sealed, its contents untouched, as Notre Dame endured fires and restorations, the whisper of its existence suppressed by historians, fearful of scandal or superstitious nonsense. They let the legend die, or so they thought. In 2019, as flames engulfed Notre Dame once more, workers saw anomalies in the foundations, but these anomalies were never reported. The chamber's lure too strong to resist. People like modern archaeologist Elise, whose curiosity mirrored Maurice's own, unwittingly setting her on a path that began in the ashes of a nightmare. Summer 2019, Paris. The embers of a devastating fire cooled over the City of Lights, casting an eerie glow upon the ravaged roof of Notre Dame Cathedral. But amidst the devastation, something else emerged, a series of cracks in the ancient foundations that hinted at secrets buried for centuries. Hidden beneath the sacred stones lay the key to unraveling one of history's most perplexing mysteries. As the world mourned the loss of the iconic spire and prayed for the cathedral's restoration, a handful of officials made the shocking decision to seal off the area, citing structural risks. Historians and archaeologists watched in disbelief as the site was quickly cordoned off, fearing that vital evidence of Notre Dame's rich past was being lost forever. Rumors began to swirl that the real reason for the cover-up was far more sinister, that the officials were desperate to suppress a secret so scandalous it could shake the very foundations of the church. In the heart of this maelstrom stood Elise Moreau, a brilliant young archaeologist whose passion for history was only matched by her determination to uncover the truth. With eyes as deep and enigmatic as the Seine's currents, Elise had devoted her life to shedding light on the forgotten stories, hidden beneath the cobblestones of Paris. Yet nothing could have prepared her for what lay in store when she stumbled upon a cryptic clue pointing to a secret chamber buried beneath the cathedral itself. Her story began in the dimly lit stacks of the National Library of France, where centuries-old documents whispered tales of a bygone era. As Elise pored over these fragile pages, she felt a sense of connection to those who had come before, each book a portal to another time. Suddenly, her gaze fell upon an entry that sent a jolt of excitement through her. A coded letter written by a priest named Maurice alluded to a hidden chamber beneath the cathedral. The cryptic message spoke of a place where darkness held secrets too dangerous for the light of day. Intrigued, Elise deciphered the hidden meaning behind the text. It spoke of a subterranean labyrinth, accessible only through a series of tunnels, concealed within the labyrinthine undercroft of Notre Dame. The existence of such a place was nothing short of scandalous. With the fire having revealed a network of previously unknown passages, the stage was set for an astonishing discovery. At that moment, Elise knew she had stumbled upon something extraordinary, but as the full weight of her discovery settled upon her, she was torn between her insatiable curiosity and a profound sense of foreboding. What secrets could be so dark, so dangerous that they had remained hidden for centuries? And what forces would stop at nothing to keep them buried? While poring over the historical records, Elise's heart pounded with anticipation. Her mind raced, weaving tales of long-forgotten rituals and clandestine societies, operating beneath the cathedral's hallowed halls. But amidst the excitement, a nagging doubt took root. Why had this secret been kept hidden for so long? And what would be the cost if the truth were to come to light? As she grappled with these questions, Elise found solace in the unwavering support of her husband, Paul, a respected historian in his own right. Paul understood the allure of discovery, but also the importance of preserving history's delicate balance. He listened patiently as Elise shared her findings, his expression a mixture of admiration and concern. Together, they explored the labyrinthine passages of the undercroft, searching for any sign that could lead them to the hidden chamber. Each twist and turn revealed more about the cathedral's rich history, but the elusive entrance remained a tantalizing mystery. Determined to solve the riddle, Elise and Paul delved deeper into the historical records. Poring over centuries-old maps and architectural plans, they studied every inscription, every sketch, hoping to catch a glimpse of the secret that lay hidden beneath Notre Dame. Days turned into weeks, and still the elusive chamber remained out of reach. Just when their hope began to dwindle, Elise noticed a peculiar symbol etched into one of the old stones, a cryptic clue that promised to change everything. As the full scope of her discovery sank in, Elise knew that she was about to step into a world of secrets and lies. But driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, she pressed on, determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Armed with her newfound understanding, Elise and Paul returned to the undercroft, their senses heightened, their hearts pounding with anticipation. With renewed determination, they scoured the undercroft once more, their eyes scanning every inch of the weathered stonework. And then, just when they were about to give up hope, they saw it. A small but distinct pattern of discoloration that hinted at a secret passageway concealed within the ancient walls. Working together, they cleared away the debris, revealing a dark and narrow opening. With a deep breath, Elise stepped inside, the musty smell of ages past enveloping her like a shroud. As she ventured deeper into the tunnel, the air grew thick with anticipation, each step bringing her closer to the heart of the mystery. The tunnel opened into a vast cavern, its ceiling lost in the shadows above. In the flickering light of their lanterns, Elise and Paul saw that they were not alone. Scattered around the chamber were relics of a bygone era, hinting at a history that defied the official narrative. Among the most striking was a crystal skull, its surface intricately carved with otherworldly symbols that seemed to glow with an other-dimensional light. As they moved deeper into the chamber, they came across an altar-like structure laden with strange and unsettling artifacts. Some were clearly pagan in origin, while others bore the unmistakable symbols of Christian worship. The sight was both fascinating and disturbing, suggesting a disturbing fusion of beliefs that had been kept hidden for centuries. Yet perhaps the most haunting aspect of the discovery was the sheer volume of relics, which suggested a community of believers who had practiced their faith in secrecy, fearing persecution from the outside world. Elise and Paul spent countless hours in the chamber, carefully documenting their findings. With each passing day, their sense of wonder grew, but so did their unease. They realized that they had stumbled upon a truth so explosive that it could shatter the foundations of religious authority. But before they could share their findings with the world, a chilling confrontation awaited them. Unseen eyes were watching their every move, and a sinister plot was unfolding to silence them forever. The atmosphere in the chamber grew heavy with tension as the realization dawned on Elise and Paul. Their discovery had not gone unnoticed. As they continued their work, they began to feel a sense of dread, like unseen eyes were watching their every move. Then one fateful day, the unthinkable happened. Church officials descended upon the chamber, their faces stern and unforgiving, their intentions clear. They demanded that Elise and Paul hand over their findings and keep silent. It soon became apparent that someone had been watching them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But why? What secret were the church officials so desperate to keep hidden? As the confrontation escalated, Elise refused to back down. She knew that the truth, however controversial, needed to be brought to light. The officials, however, were unrelenting, determined to suppress the evidence at any cost. Trapped in a battle of wills, Elise faced a harrowing choice. How could she expose the truth without jeopardizing everything she held dear? With the situation growing increasingly dire, Paul began to fear for their safety. Could he convince Elise to reconsider, or would he be forced to choose between his love for her and his loyalty to the church? Meanwhile, rumors of the discovery began to spread like wildfire through the hushed whispers of the clergy, sending shockwaves that threatened to engulf the very foundations of religious authority. In the ensuing struggle, Paul found himself torn between his love for Elise and his duty to uphold the sanctity of history. Unable to bear the weight of the secret any longer, he made a fateful decision to alert the authorities. But in doing so, he unwittingly set in motion a chain of events that would lead to tragedy. As the night wore on, a sense of foreboding settled over Paris. Torrential rain poured down, mirroring the turmoil in Elise's heart. She fled through the darkened streets, the crystal skull clutched tightly to her chest, its icy touch a constant reminder of the danger she faced. Suddenly, a vehicle emerged from the shadows, its headlights blinding her for a moment. Before she could react, everything went black. When Paul realized the gravity of his actions, it was already too late. In a desperate attempt to save his wife, he rushed to find her, his heart pounding with both fear and remorse. But as he searched the rain-slicked streets, a terrible truth unfolded. Paul discovered Elise lying injured on the pavement, the crystal skull shattered at her side. Grief and guilt washed over him, realizing that his actions had led to this tragic outcome. The revelation of the chamber's existence shook the foundations of the church, leading to widespread dissent and calls for reform. The relics themselves became objects of veneration for some, while others dismissed them as mere curiosities. But for those who dared to delve into the mysteries of Notre Dame, the legend of the buried chamber lived on, a haunting reminder of the secrets that lie beneath the surface of even the holiest of places. And so the tale of Elise and Paul became a somber legend, a cautionary reminder that the pursuit of knowledge can lead to both enlightenment and despair. The chamber, now resealed beneath the cathedral, remains a silent testament to the enduring power of ambition and the tragic consequences of its unchecked pursuit.